Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the all-new 2023 Ram heavy duties and the big changes that are most likely coming for the trucks. So in the first part of the video we're going to go over the changes, then we're going to get into why this is important, then we're going to wrap things up with whether or not you should wait for this truck to come out, and with all that being said, let's get into the video. So first off, we have to talk about the redesign that happened for the Ram heavy duties in the 2019 model year. And it was kind of a light slash heavy redesign. So they changed the exterior styling, they changed the interior from a material standpoint, and then added some technology like blind spot monitoring, for example, and the 12-inch display. But there was a lot of stuff that didn't change. The cab was exactly the same from a dimension standpoint, the suspension was unchanged, and the bed was unchanged. Pretty much the whole back half of the truck was unchanged. And then they did make some slight power tweaks to the powertrain to where it produced 1,000 pound-feet of torque, and now with the 21s and the 22s we have 1,075 pound-feet of torque from the high output version with the 3500s. The 2500s and the regular 3500s have 850 pound-feet of torque. It depends on which transmission you get, but we're just going to push that to the side for a second. Now, this was all fun and great, but at the same time that this truck was released, we had the new 1500 that was actually released prior to this truck. But anyways, people saw the new 1500, loved it, because from a suspension standpoint, it was amazing, drove really smooth, still had a really solid payload capacity, and the interior with the crew cab was very large. And so people are like, oh, that's great, hopefully the heavy duty is going to have this, and the heavy duty didn't. The heavy duty still had the old cab, like I said. And so since then, people have been complaining about the crew cab heavy duties and how they need to redesign it to be like the 1500, so it has extra space. Yes, you can get a mega cab, but the problem with a mega cab heavy duty is twofold. So first off, it lowers the payload capacity of the truck, and then on top of that, you can't get it with a long bed. And so there's a lot of people that they need to have a long bed, but they also want more space in the cab, but then they also need the higher payload capacity, so they end up having to get a crew cab, right? And so that's kind of the issue with the heavy duties. And again, since then, people have been talking about Ram redesigning the truck fully, and it sounds like for the 2023 model year, we're finally going to get that. And I do need to kind of emphasize this isn't confirmed. This is just kind of in the rumor stage so far. But we, I guess, have the confirmation that it's not going to be a 2022 because people have already been able to order the 2022s at this point, and with the 2022s, they haven't really made any fundamental changes like we thought they might. So it sounds like they're kind of carrying that into 2023, which makes sense, right? We've had a bunch of issues with parts supplies because of COVID, and so a lot of manufacturers are kind of pushing back the dates on their new releases, and it sounds like that's what's happening with the heavy duties. So for this redesign, it sounds like with the engine and transmission and all that stuff, that's pretty much going to stay unchanged, but the changes are going to come to the cab and then also to the suspension as well. And so what it sounds like is going to be happening is they're going to finally adopt the DT cab configuration for this new truck. So we're going to have the bigger cab with the crew cab, and because they're doing that, they might actually get rid of the mega cab potentially. Now it's kind of up in the air because the mega cab is still slightly more functional in a way compared to the crew cab with the 1500s, because you can like fully fold down the seats, you can kind of fold them into the floor, and it has a little bit more space, but it's not all that much larger compared to the 1500 crew cab. And so again, that's still kind of up in the air. It'll just depend on how many they actually sell. Most of the trucks they sell are crew cabs with the short bed configuration. So that's the first big thing, is finally going to get a new cab. Now the next thing is they might slightly tweak the exterior styling alongside that, so we might get a little bit different looking headlights. Taillights are probably going to stay the same. And then we're going to get some changes to the suspension and everything. And so with the 2500s, they've been using the 5-link coil suspension for quite some time. Definitely gives it a nice smooth ride quality, and so that's probably going to stay the same. The big changes might come to the 3500s. There has been some talks of going to that 5-link coil suspension with the 3500s, getting rid of the leaf springs, but there's obviously a big engineering hurdle with that, because once you get up to the point where you're at a 3500 series truck, the amount of payload that you're going to need is just massive, and doing that with a coil suspension system is very difficult. The technology has been improving, but still, it's a really difficult thing. It's a lot to ask for, and so time will tell, but it sounds like they're still going to revise the bed area, so we're finally going to get the new LED lights that we have in the 1500 in these heavy duty trucks. Like the whole bed is going to be like the new truck instead of, you know, like the old truck like it has been for the last few years. And yeah, just overall it's going to have that kind of like all those changes and everything, but I guess I'm going to say this again, this is not confirmed, this is just kind of like the rumors at this point. Now let's get into the importance with this new heavy duty Ram. So first off, it's finally going to make the Ram competitive with Ford and with Chevy from a cab configuration perspective on the heavy duty front. Go sit in the back of a Super Duty, go sit in the back of a Chevy Silverado 2500 or 3500, and what you will find is that those back seats have tons of space and it feels great. And then go sit in the back of a Ram Crew Cab and you're going to feel a little bit cramped and slightly claustrophobic, right? So this will finally change that, make it competitive with them from a cab configuration perspective, and it'll really boost the Ram Heavy Duty up to the top. Like right now, most places still rate the Ram Heavy Duty as the best in segment because it has the nicest interior, and with the 2500 it has the smoothest ride quality, but this would really boost it up to where there is no excuse to get the other trucks over the Ram because it has the most torque right now. It's got 1,075 pound-feet. Ford is in second place with 1,050 pound-feet, and then Chevy is lagging in third place by quite a bit with 910 pound-feet. And so it has the most torque in class. It has a great engine, right, that's providing that torque. It's got the inline six from Cummins that everyone loves, super reliable engine. The 6-speed ISIN that you can get with the 3500s that gives you that high power output is fantastic. Overall, it's a really solid truck. And like I said, interior is great, exterior styling looks great. There's tons of packages to choose from in terms of exterior appearance, where if you want a sporty looking truck, you can get that with like a night package. If you want a more luxury looking truck, you can get that with a regular Laramie or a Limited. There's just so many different options. And so it would really just bring the Ram heavy duty truck up, and it would basically make it kind of, I guess, the uncontested king of the heavy duty series, just because it would be really solid as an overall package. And again, there really wouldn't be a downside to the truck at that point. Now, should you wait for these changes? And it really just depends on what you're going to be looking for. So I don't imagine that the towing and payload capacity specifications are going to change all that much with this new truck. The biggest change, again, is going to slightly be with the technology, and then on top of that, with the larger cabs, you can have more space in the back. So if the extra space that you'll get in the back is really important to you, then this will be worth it. And then also the tweaks they're making to the suspension and everything will probably make the truck ride smoother than what it rides like now. And then also just being completely new from the ground up, that'll also help out with the ride quality, because they'll be able to basically change the platform around to make it more on the luxury side, because, well, Ram is kind of all about that nowadays. And so if ride quality is important to you, if a larger cab is important to you, then this truck will definitely be worth waiting for. But if you're just looking for all-out raw capability, the current generation truck is going to do that. And if you get a 21 or a 22, you can get, again, the Cummins with the high output version that is paired with that 6-speed ISIN that has over 400 horsepower, and it's got 1,075 pound-feet of torque now, which is pretty crazy. So super capable truck. So yeah, that's going to sum things up for today's video. If you're stopping for the first time, I'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe, and I'll see you guys.